Hey guys, McFarland here. Going to give you guys a rundown for the end of the week here. I believe it's April 25th. I didn't give you a rundown throughout the week. The last time we talked was Saturday, a week ago. So let's do a little catching up. Saturday, a week ago, basically, we were at around the 402, I think 84-ish, something like that, about like where we are today. And we're dropping all week, little by little, very, very slow rate. 402.78, 402.76, 402.73, 402.71 yesterday. Then yesterday's rain brought us back up a little more than an inch. So as of today, we're 402.85. 403 is full pool. About an inch, inch and a half below full pool. Water on the rise. Perfect time of year to have that happening. Overall, the still kind of roller coaster riding with the weather. We had some cool trend that took some of the temperature away. Last week, a couple of days, it was 32 degrees. I think Monday and Tuesday morning were really chilly, or Tuesday, Wednesday was really chilly anyways. But overall, the lake temperature is holding right around 61, 65 degrees. 1 to 2 foot clarity, depends on where you are. The new flooding, last night's flooding, dirtied up some of the backwaters a little bit again. But man, the fish are majorly on beds, as we've discussed. The elite anglers are doing pretty fair. They're not crushing it. The number count is good. Most pros are finishing a limit. A lot of them are only finishing a limit, 5, 6, 7 fish throughout the course of the day, because they're bed fishing, and that takes time. But the weights are great. They're catching fish. There's little bits of sign of shad spawn, where Brandon Cobb has caught a few, and so has Patrick Walters. I'm kind of working the same stuff that a lot of us guys have been working. Throwing the jerk baits, throwing the glide baits, a little bit of topwater bite, a little bit of square bill bite. I haven't thrown the jerk bait as much as the pros are really throwing the jerk bait a lot. And so hindsight, maybe next year I'll work on throwing that a little more through this window of time of year that it's becoming a very critical bait that we used to only use more in the fall. Jerk bait was early spring, cold water, and then of course again the fall. And I really think with the forward viewing capabilities of sonars and stuff, that jerkbait's really becoming a much bigger part of the play. But the pros are doing very well. The weights are good. It's going to break the century mark. They're going to go over 100 pounds for 4 days, no doubt. Our very own Lee Levsey is doing pretty fair as well. He's had a square bill bite, I believe, which has been pretty fair. And then that's kind of on the post-spawn mix, pre-spawn, but on the areas where the shad spawn is. But let's tell you about what we've been doing. Last couple days I've had off. I realized real quick that a lot of the water I've been running, the pros are going to run. Brandon Cobb absolutely is running the water we run. So I was going to be in their way. Between combination of some weather that coming, I knew that. I just basically rescheduled everything. I want to stay out of their way completely. I was booked really the last 3 days and canceled and rescheduled the last 3 days. Prior to that, basically catching the fish mostly on the beds. I didn't have much of a bite, as the pros are even experiencing. There's a little bit. It's here today, gone tomorrow. So the reefs and the shell beds and the shad spawn areas, it's still not wide open. If you're fishing those shad spawn areas, you should be throwing some jerk baits for sure. This is kind of a custom jerk bait here made by Tight Lines UV. It's got a custom UV paint job. It's like an Edo Vision, like a 110. I prefer to throw a little larger version on fork. This is going to be your Lucky Craft pointer. I think it's a 128. It's a very, very large profile and considerably larger than the 110. So I really like that bigger bait. If you're throwing the top water, which you're going to see me throwing here real soon, it's hard to beat. Any walking bait is important this time of year, but you also want to make sure you throw the poppers. The poppers are more subtle and more slow and more stalling, in my opinion. The walkers are more of a calling, noise-making, aggressive. If the fish are aggressive, they're going to want the walker. If they're less aggressive, you're going to catch them more on the popping and stalling. The other thing that sometimes they can be real aggressive is I'm going to absolutely be throwing the whopper plopper pretty soon here. As of next week, I will be concentrating on post-spawn areas where those big, huge females are hungry and something obnoxious like a whopper plopper can really get them to go. By the way, my favorite walking bait is the Vixen. There's just something about it. It calls the bigger bite. It calls them up. Okay. Bed fishing wise. So that's kind of what we're doing. Throwing some square bills. I've talked to you a lot about the square bills, the 1.5s, the 2.0s. The 4.0 by Strike King is probably my preferred for Lake Fork. It matches the hatch perfect. The 4.0 is really good. But Tight Lines UV also makes I believe this is going to be about a 2.5 size. And we'll be throwing some of those here over the next several weeks. But this is what I wanted to talk to you about. I made a post through the week bed fishing, and I'm going to show you what I've been using for bed fishing. I've really noticed this. Throughout the years bed fishing, I've always had a white color. I've always had a green pumpkin color. I've always believed that I'm going to use the white for scenarios where I need to see it. The white's a perfect pestering color. I'm angering the fish, irritating the fish. I can see the white real good to work the fish, get the fish angry with the white, and then maybe throw the natural green pumpkin to catch it. Sometimes they catch it on the white. But generally, I would almost always throw white first. And over the years, I evolved into really kind of adding two things that I think are even more simple. Number one, I learned by watching bass in fish tanks and other species of predatory fish in tanks. When they don't like something in their area, they chase and nip the tail. They don't smash like porpoises in the ocean, smashing sharks. They don't hit head first. They chase and nip tail, snap the tail and chase you away. And so in my mind, I kind of really went to be more natural. I wanted a crawfish type color, which is natural to their environment. It's predatory. The bass is on a bed. A crawfish coming through is something that's very likely to see and very likely going to chase away. And brim. So those are the two things. Maybe carp and a few other things will come in their area. Gar, I've seen them chase a gar. But so what I found, Tight Lines, GV, and I don't think it matters, GV, UV. The fact is that it's the UV reflective, not glowing, but the UV reflective appearance in the creature baits. Like this would be my brim color here. This is green pumpkin with the green pumpkin skirt and a little bit of chartreuse. So this could be my brim. And then of course I'm going to have the same bait in a green pumpkin and a green pumpkin red flake, red arms. This here is going to be more like my crawfish. I have found that between these two colors and still the white, that's all I've needed. These have really come to play. It's fresh, it's new. When these fish have been pressured a lot, everybody's throwing the J-bug. Everybody's throwing brush hogs. The pestered bedfish have seen that. The one thing that they have not seen in this creature bait isn't just the bait itself, it's the UV. The UV and the GV. If you don't know what that is, Google search it a little bit. But the ultraviolet light and then the GV is basically new to me, so I really can't teach you a whole lot about it. But this GV is just a different version of the ultraviolet, and it's more for when you have algae, it's more of a green violet. If I remember, that's what the GV is for. Ultraviolet, and then you have the green violet. But I have really found that on the bedfish, for whatever reason, the ultraviolet, they can see that so much better in the dirty water. And it's very antagonizing to the bedfish. So again, it doesn't have to be the GV. I just happen to have the GV line here. The UV products also have worked really good for me bed fishing. All right. Watch the fish that are deeper. If you're bed fishing this week, there's a lot of fish that boats are right on top of. I'm watching it 3 to 5 feet. And if you'll back up and just go slower, put your hands on your head, bring a hat that drapes so you can close in and just go really slow. Remember, when you're bed fishing, a lot of times in this dirtier water, it's like deer hunting. When you go searching for deer in the woods, you're not looking for the whole deer. You're looking for the white flash of the tail. Or you're looking through the woods for Mickey Mouse ears. If you're looking for Mickey Mouse ears, boom, the deer jump out at you. Squirrel hunters, for example, they're not looking for the squirrel in the tree. They're looking for the flash of the squirrel's tail. So the same thing, when you're bed fishing, you're focusing in that water and it gets really tiring in your eyes. But you're watching for tail flickers. You're watching for a black lateral line. You're watching for a shadow. Make the fish move sometimes. So I'll take the boat in and out, in and out, in and out of the cove. And even though the many times I've gone through and thought there's nothing there, I'll go back through it again and be surprised. If I make something move, I can recognize where it came from and then come back and approach it later. But I have to see it first to know it was there. All right, so that's my best rundown. Again, I wish all the pros a great rest of today on Saturday. And the final 10, whoever that may be tomorrow, it should be really interesting. Lake Fork is putting out and the weights are decent. Again, I think they'll break the 100-pound mark once again for 4 days on fork. They've done it every time they've been here. And so I wish them all a great, great championship Sunday. And I do hope to see our very own Lee Livesay in that swing off. Appreciate you. I'm Michael McFarland. Give me the thumbs up below, comment below. Hey, book me. May and June are coming. And those are my favorite times. There's only like 5 days left in May, but there's a lot of days in June. Man, that's when I crush them. That's when I catch them the best offshore. That's when we shine the most. McFarland Fishing is an offshore specialist business. That's what I do the most. I really, truly would, if I could be offshore all year long, that's where I'd love to be. It doesn't work that way. But my May and June are my favorite times of year to crush them, even in July. So check me out if you want to go fishing with McFarland Fishing, the Lake Fork Guide. I have some openings just for you. So thanks again. Mike McFarland giving you a Lake Fork rundown.